Welcome to the Earth server. You just spawned in. Let us review the build. You selected Mewtwo, the genetically engineered apex predator of the Kanto region, boasting a monstrous 680 base stat total, unparalleled psychic scaling, and a lore entry that literally designates you as the ultimate life form. You probably thought this playthrough was going to be an absolute breeze. A casual sandbox experience where you could just float around, spamming Psystrike, and dominating the primitive player base of this realm. But you fundamentally misunderstood the sheer, unadulterated toxicity of the human meta.
What happens when you drop ultimate genetically engineered apex predator into the most unforgiving server in the universe? Real life first. Everyone thinks spawning as Mewtwo is an instant win condition, but they always forget about the physics engine nerf, international airspace regulation, and taxes, rather than the simulation.
And the catastrophic physics engine nerfs that govern this reality. The second your glowing purple feet touch the unyielding concrete of the Earth server, your nightmare begins. You open your eyes, expecting to assert your dominance through a telepathic broadcast to all lesser beings within a 50-mile radius. You flex your massive psychic cortex, pushing your thoughts out into the ether, fully anticipating humanity to bow before your supreme intellect. Instead, your unencrypted telepathy immediately broadcasts across multiple regulated electromagnetic frequencies. You see, in this game, telepathy is not magic. It is an unprotected transmission of raw neurological data that violently intersects with the local radio frequency spectrum. Within precisely 3.4 seconds of your dramatic monologue, you are flagged by the Federal Communications Commission for operating an unlicensed high-powered broadcast on restricted aviation and military bands. You have not established dominance. You have committed a federal felony. Before you can even process why your mental monologue is being interrupted by scrambled air traffic control chatter, your passive levitation triggers a much larger problem. You lift yourself 10 feet into the air, completely ignoring the square cube law and the basic principles of aerodynamic lift, assuming the engine will just let you hover because you are a psychic type. But the Earth server demands an equal and opposite reaction for every action. To maintain your 122 kilogram mass in suspended animation without physical thrust, your psychic energy must continuously displace the air beneath you, generating a localized high-pressure system that essentially mimics a contained thermobaric anomaly. This massive thermal and kinetic bloom instantly lights up every early warning radar system on the continent. You are no longer Mewtwo, the legendary genetic experiment. You are now classified as an unidentified anomalous phenomenon, a hostile UAP, and the server admins at the North American Aerospace Defense Command have just escalated your threat level to maximum. You look up to see two F-22 Raptors scrambling from a nearby Air Force base, locking onto your thermal signature with AIM-120 advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles. You panic and attempt to use teleport to escape the aggro radius. But you forgot that teleportation in a universe bound by the speed of light and the conservation of mass energy requires you to instantly convert your physical matter into energy, transmit it, and reassemble it without causing a localized nuclear detonation. You force the server to execute the command anyway. And while you successfully warp to a nearby urban center, the vacuum left behind by your instantaneous displacement creates a thunderous sonic boom that shatters every window within a 3-mile radius. Congratulations, you have survived your first 5 minutes. But you have already racked up millions in property damage, and the server admins are officially hunting you for domestic terrorism. You quickly realize that direct confrontation is a losing strategy. The human guilds do not fight with turn-based elemental attacks. They fight with depleted uranium kinetic penetrators, drone strikes, and economic sanctions. Your raw stats mean nothing if you get one-shot by a drone strike while you are charging up a shadow ball. You decide to pivot. You need to form a guild. You need to gather other high-tier builds who have spawned into this server to orchestrate a coordinated hostile takeover. You expand your psychic consciousness, scanning the continental landmass for signatures of your kind. You detect an enormous physical power level, a creature capable of punching mountains into dust. You track the signature to a massive windowless concrete structure on the outskirts of an industrial zone. You expect to find a warlord preparing for battle. Instead, you find Machamp, but he is not training. He is wearing a high-visibility yellow vest inside an Amazon fulfillment center. You watch in absolute horror as a creature bred for martial arts supremacy is reduced to boxing prime packages for 14 hours a day. Because his lore states he has 4 arms and limitless stamina, the warehouse management algorithm has ruthlessly optimized his output, setting his packing key performance indicators at exactly double the human average. He is moving at blinding speeds, taping cardboard boxes filled with cheap plastic consumer goods, his eyes completely hollow. There is no fire of battle in his gaze.
There is only the dead, exhausted stare of an employee who just realized his Tier 1 physical stats do not qualify him for comprehensive health regen benefits or paid time off. You try to speak to him telepathically to rally him to your cause, but he just mentally begs you to leave before the warehouse supervisor docks his pay for unauthorized mental breaks. The reality check hits you like a critical strike. The Earth server does not kill gods, it employs them.
It grinds their legendary stats into maximum shareholder value. Desperate, you scan for another signature. You find Jolteon, an elemental speedster. You locate him in a sweltering, unventilated warehouse in Texas. He is not running free across the plains. He is trapped inside an illegal cryptocurrency mining farm. The human players have strapped him to a massive reinforced hamster wheel hooked up to a heavy-duty alternator. They are using his infinite electrical output to power rows upon rows of modified graphics processing units mining Ethereum. He is being used as a completely free, infinitely renewable energy exploit to bypass the high utility costs of the local power grid. The humans do not care about his speed stat or his critical hit ratio. They only care about his megawatt per hour output. You watch as a creature of lightning is reduced to a living battery for decentralized finance bros. His fur matted with sweat, entirely defeated by the laws of thermodynamics and the relentless greed of the player base. The sheer crushing weight of the human meta finally breaks your arrogance. You realize that in this reality, you either adapt to the supply chain or you face a permaban via starvation. You refuse to be a low-tier wage worker. You are Mewtwo. You possess an intelligence quotient of 400. If the system is rigged, you will simply break the system. You abandon the physical hostile takeover. You retreat to a dimly lit, illegally subletted penthouse apartment. You realize the ultimate weapon in the Earth server is not a hyperbeam, it is capital. You leverage your massive intellect to exploit the human meta's biggest and most toxic glitch, the global financial markets. You set up an array of 12 liquid-cooled monitors, powered by electricity you are meticulously siphoning from the city grid to avoid utility detection. You become a high-frequency algorithmic day trader. You bypass your physical nerfs entirely. Your brain, designed to calculate the trajectories of orbital bodies, is now entirely focused on predicting microtrends in dog-themed meme coins, volatile tech stocks, and international currency fluctuations. You do not need to sleep. You do not need to eat anything other than the absurd amount of calories required to keep your brain functioning, which you order via food delivery apps using untraceable prepaid debit cards. You manipulate the markets from the shadows. You write custom algorithms that scalp trades microseconds faster than the Wall Street institutional bots. You orchestrate massive short squeezes on over-leveraged hedge funds just because you find it amusing. You are farming millions in fiat currency daily. You buy out the entire top floor of a luxury skyscraper through a labyrinth of offshore shell companies based in the Cayman Islands. You sit in your bespoke ergonomic leather chair, swirling a glass of expensive synthetic wine, looking down at the sprawling metropolis. You have done it. You have successfully bypassed the brutal mechanics of the Earth server. You have infinite capital. You have broken the game. You feel like an untouchable deity once again. But then, the endgame content reveals itself to be completely hollow. The existential dread begins to set in, applying a permanent damage over time debuff to your psyche. You have infinite capital, but absolutely zero purpose. There is no Elite Four waiting to challenge you at the peak of a mountain. There is no champion title to claim. There is no glory in this meta. There is just endless screen time, chronic insomnia, and the soul-crushing void of modern capitalism. You find yourself staring blankly at a spreadsheet at 3 a.m, optimizing your portfolio's tax efficiency, and you suddenly miss the simplicity of being trapped in a master ball. You realize you have not beaten the game at all. You have just purchased a significantly nicer, more expensive cage. You are trapped in an endless loop of wealth accumulation with no victory condition. And just as your mental HP reaches its absolute lowest point, the true server admins arrive. It is not the military. It is not an elite team of Pokémon trainers. It is an auditor from the Internal Revenue Service. You stare at the human in a cheap beige suit standing at the door of your penthouse. You project your godlike aura, the air pressure dropping, the room glowing with menacing purple energy. You telepathically inform him that you are the harbinger of a new world order. He does not even blink. He simply opens his briefcase and hands you a thick manila envelope. The blockchain may be decentralized, but your internet service provider is not. The IRS tracked your dynamic IP address through 7 virtual private networks. They saw the hundreds of millions in unregistered capital gains, and you did not file a W-9. You did not pay your quarterly estimated taxes. The government does not care if you are a genetically engineered psychic deity capable of planetary destruction. They want their 37% cut of your short-term capital gains. The auditor explicitly informs you that your offshore accounts have been frozen. Your assets are being seized to cover back taxes, penalties, and interest. And you are being formally indicted for tax evasion. If you use your psychic powers to obliterate the auditor, the server will permanently flag you. They will freeze your crypto wallets forever. And without your massive daily caloric intake, you will starve to death in 3 days. You are entirely powerless. You power down your psychic aura. You take the manila envelope. You sit back down at your desk, utterly defeated by the tax code. The Earth server is not a combat arena. It is a heavily unbalanced garbage fire of an economic simulator where raw power means absolutely nothing. The meta is completely broken, the devs have abandoned the player base, and there is absolutely no way to win without a massive trust fund or a dedicated team of corporate lawyers. If you want to understand how to avoid getting completely stomped in this miserable pay-to-win nightmare of a realm, you better subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Do it before the algorithm detects my unsanctioned data stream and permanently wipes my save file.
So, the ultimate life form gets absolutely stormed by the dark code. Just a friendly reminder in the human meta. Raw stars mean absolutely nothing against a dedicated team of corporate lawyers. The house always wins. Stay safe out there, please. I will see you in the next part. Bye.